Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. In today's video I want to talk about the state of the game, or more specifically, how we might fix it. The reason I'm making this video is simply to provide honest and simple feedback to the dev team at AGS, as well as get people talking and thinking in a more constructive and positive way. I have noticed lately, myself included here, that as a community we have started to become so frustrated with the development choices lately that we are becoming negative and borderlining in some cases on toxic, and this is not a good thing. My objective in making videos has always been to work with the community to share ideas, strategies, and work to improve both players' experiences as well as the game in general. My intention was never to give anyone the impression I hate the game. Clearly I don't. As a person who has played the game for almost 5,000 hours, taking the time to create—
Jesus Christ, what the fuck are you talking about 5,000 hours? Oh my god.
Content surrounding my experiences in the game, I can assure you, I have nothing but passion when it comes to New World. The problem, however, is that lately my passion has manifested itself in the form of what's coming across as hate or anger, when it would be better described simply as frustration. So what I want to do today is something different. In this video, I would like to talk about some things that could happen in my opinion as well as the opinions of the community to repair New World. Not only the game, but the relationship the devs have with the community as well. Now, I don't plan to blindly speak for the community. I have both wrote out my thoughts, as well as scattered the forums, Reddit, various discords, and messaged other players. I have compiled a collection of things that I think need to happen, as well as we hope will happen. So, let's get into it. So a good place to begin would be with the in-game features. Things that the average MMO player has grown to expect from any AAA title that they log into. I will say going into this that I am aware that New World was originally intended to be a survival type game. So it will be difficult to implement some of these things. However, I do also think that it will be important for them to figure out a way, regardless of how difficult it is, if they want the game to succeed in the long term. First, we need to have gear set storage. With the number of trade skills—
That's true. That's 100% true. Gear set storage is important. I don't think anybody wants to walk around with 7 different helmets. You've got your fucking, Angry Earth helmet. You've got your PvP helmet. You've got your farming helmet. You've got your blacksmithing helmet. You've got your weaponsmithing helmet. You've got your tanning helmet. You've got your Ancient Guardians helmet. You've got your corrupted helmet. How many fucking helmets do you need? It's ridiculous. Your fishing helmet. Yeah, what the fuck, man?
Gather skills, different wards, and of course PvP. There simply has to be a way for us to store and quickly access these sets separate.
They absolutely have the ability to do this. Like 100%. There's no way they don't.
Many people who play New World live busy adult lives, so having to dig around in your various storage sheds to find pieces of gear in order to do a simple task just wastes too much time and leads to lost gear and frustration. This absolutely needs to be a priority quality of life feature that has to hit the game sooner rather than later. Many people put forward great ideas like mannequins and stuff like that, but if that's too intense, something as simple as implementing the sorting that you have added to the market into our storage would be a great midway temporary solution, allowing us to then quickly search our storage by perks, allowing us to easily find the gear we are after.
Nah, that's not what they should do. What they should do is they should make it so where, like, whenever you tab and you see your inventory, you can make like separate gear sets as like different subsets inside that inventory. So like you can move those different things around, or you can move it to where each of those different types of armor go in and out of different groupings of armor. Loadouts, effectively like loadouts. Presets or whatever you want to call them. That's what they should do. No, mannequin. I don't give a fuck about a mannequin.
We don't expect it to be perfect overnight, and not all solutions have to be massive game-changing things. And of course I know this has already been announced, but I am just reiterating it, because it will hurt the game in a serious way if it is late. That brings me to the next thing I really think needs to be changed, and that is the storage system itself. The storage system in New World is something we would expect to find in a game like Ark Survival or Rust. It is clearly left over from a previous iteration of the game and is nothing even close to what people expect and want to see in an MMO.
I agree with this too. I think the storage system, like especially since they're all combined now, there's no value in having the storage zones and the storage areas separated. Like, I don't think that, for example, like having your Windsward and your Everfall storage is separated provides any value for the player. All it is a pointless complication.
Crafting system in this game requires us to have massive amounts of materials on hand, or of course stored for leveling. But with our storage being so limited in both weight and space for unique items, this can really feel, well, really bad. And on top of that, as I said before, we are so limited by an outdated search and filter system. It all just ends up leading to a ton of unneeded frustration. If having the weight restriction is so important because the developers really like the chests and home ownership in relation to storage, that's fine. You could even...
I think the chests and home ownership is fine. But I just think the storage is like the first step should be just link all the storages. You know, like for example, like in WoW where you can do like, you can have each bag individual or you can have a like one bag where it's like just all the slots together. New World should effectively do the same thing.
Use this to solve two issues. Having the shed set to hold either much larger stacks with no weight restrictions, or a much higher weight restriction but only for materials, and have the chests in our homes for gear and weapons only. You know, something like that. These are just ideas, but clearly what's happening now is just not the answer. We basically just need a completely better way to filter and search our separate storages for different item types. Whatever the solution, our storage needs a rework. Another thing I believe needs a rework is of course the trophies. Now, I am not on team get rid of the trophies. I love them. However, what I don't love is how the function works when it comes to changing them. I am fine limiting us to 5 active max trophies per house. But why can't we hang them all? Then have a toggle in our bio window to turn them on and off. This would be...
Yeah, I think again, like the trophies, and it's the same as the gear, right? Is that as this game has gotten more of like, it's become more of a PvE game, the nuances between changing these trophies around and like, you know, having these different armor sets, it's something that theoretically sounds really good, but the nuts and bolts of it really become annoying.
Be so much easier than having to fast travel around the map to all of our houses every time we need to change our trophies. Another thing in the game that I feel needs some love is the character stat page, or I guess the paper doll. The amount of information that we are given about our character on this page is way too limited.
Okay.
We need a way to see what benefits we are receiving, wards, luck, resists, including acid, a complete breakdown. So that
I think that they should have that. Like Lost Ark has this, for example, whenever you look at your base stats, you also have a button that you can click and it gives you your advanced stats and it tells you everything about your character that you need to know. And I think New World, if they had that, it's like there's no reason that that would be harmful to the game.
We can easily total our gather luck or squash myths that amulets provide negative luck and stuff like that. Being able to track this information is important to players and always has been across all MMOs. And for our characters, another huge improvement to the game would be a barbershop or something like that would allow us to change our character's appearance. Even add some stuff to the in-game shop if that motivates you and makes some stuff exclusive. That's fine, but please add this feature. It's these little things that are often looked at as stupid that in fact keep people playing. And of course, along with this comes the transmog system. This needs to happen on schedule. And
I feel like they've been talking about transmog for a year almost. Like, we really need to, like, this needs to eventually happen because, like, I think a lot of the store skins are cool, but a lot of the in-game skins, in my opinion, are even cooler. And, like, that's a W for New World. But you don't get a chance to see those or use them because you never do that. Like, I feel like what they should do is they should make it where, like, you have to complete, like, a mutation 5 or a mutation 10 to, like, be able to transmog the gear from, like, that area. That would be cool, or do something similar to that.
It really needs to allow us to dye the skins in the shop. And before we hear another speech about how difficult it is, let's not forget, there was a bug only a month ago that allowed people to dye their shield skins. So let's replicate that bug to the rest of the skins.
Okay.
Now, of course, I'm being a little bit silly here, but really? Now, let's talk about why I feel a lot of players leave. First, let's look at companies. When the game first released, it was exciting. The idea that we could take and hold territories and work together as a company, building friendships, planning attacks, and all that comes along with it. Well, then reality set in, of course. Only very few companies of the very top percent of players would ever actually interact with this system.
Who could have ever predicted this?
Leaving everyone else in a place where frankly a company doesn't even really much matter. This is where I feel the game could grow in a big way, giving companies an opportunity to become more competitive while still creating the cohesion and friendships required to actually even begin to compete at a war level. Like one thing would be company housing, and you may be asking yourself, well, how would that help? Well, other games have implemented great systems that achieve this. Like for example, in Star Trek Online. As the company, or the fleet in this case, but we will say company to keep it simple. As the company works together, farms, completes objectives.
What they need to have is a fucking guild bank. How many times did you guys get like a really cool item? Like you saw that Rattlebones like treasure goblin guy and you kill them and you got a really cool item for like a level 25 or a level 15, but there's nobody that you can sell it to really, so you just get rid of it. But like if they had a guild bank, you could give that to new players. Also, like the company sizes are too small. 100 people, that's nothing.
And all sorts of things. Very difficult projects are completed. And when these are completed, stations in the company house are upgraded. And the cool thing here, the station upgrading system already exists in New World.
Mm-hmm.
And when you upgrade these stations, you then unlock access to perks or gear that do not exist anywhere else. They can't be crafted, can't be farmed, and then people in the company who have contributed can then craft the gear in these stations. And before you say this will be exploited and companies will simply unlock these, then sell spots to craft stuff, making it all stupid. No, that's the beauty of this system done correctly. Whenever a company member takes part in a required activity for the project, which could be anything from PvP bounty hunt to PvE missions to kill 300 ancients or even gather 200 ironwood, anything, they will receive a company trade token or something, which of course will be bound. These tokens will be a required material in crafting the items at the stations. This then encourages people to log in and take part in these activities,
makes sense.
as well as encourage companies to work together to achieve higher stations to make the better gear. The key here is to make this
actually a really good idea. I like this.
That's the trouble. Things are moving a little too fast recently. Anyway, just one idea among many. Another big thing that would help the game to grow and be fun again is to stop adding new features and forgetting about the old ones. For example, the Group Finder tool. It was a great addition, but it was clearly not finished, and still needs a ton of refining and work. I do think it needs to go a lot further, like add a function to it to allow for random pub groups, where it just selects 5 members by desired role and throws them in.
I don't think that's really a good idea. I don't think that you need that unless you, like, that's probably what people do is they just invite people that show up anyway. They probably invite the first people that queue up. So I think what they should do instead is they should just make it to where whenever you, let me think of a way to put this, like, they should make it to where if you use the group finder, it's like WoW, where you can do it with other people from other servers. Because that's why the group finder was good, is it made it to where people that had dead servers could still play the game functionally. That's the biggest weakness that that New World has, is that they don't have what WoW had with, like, basically making it to where playing on a dead server isn't as unpleasant. Because if you're playing on a dead New World server, it is depressing.
Having the ability to check gear score and wards and all is fine for higher mutation runs, but when it comes to regular old Genesis runs, why not just toss 5 new players in and let them play? Territory standing is another old feature that we were told would be getting reworked, and it needs it in a big way. Yeah. With the tax changes to housing and the fees on benches, most of the perks now are very underwhelming. And on top of that, so many players are almost max level before they realize how permanent it really is. So we desperately need a way to respec these selections later, even if it's on a cooldown or something. One of my favorite parts of the game when it first released was the faction quests and vendors. But as the game evolved and matured, these quickly became completely dead content. Yeah, which is a shame considering the core of the game centers around the...
And the thing is, like, now they are super dead content because you can get 590 named gear so easily.
Factions. Having this whole system mean nothing now just doesn't make sense. And I know some people will say, that's why they added the PvP track. Well, if the PvP track was added to be a step-up replacement for the faction vendor, I will again say why. No one is going to grind at this stage of the game for 520 gear. Not even a player, so why does it exist? They need to completely rework these vendors, have them offer skins that are faction related, even change the old faction 520 gear to skins instead of gear. Something.
Exactly.
I want a reason
That's a really
to
good
choose
idea.
to waste my time grinding these tokens. Now,
there's no reason to grind them. The only reason you grind them is like there's some crafting items you get with them, and you can also get gypsum orbs.
PvP. This is an important aspect of the game, and I'm so tired of this silly back and forth between PvP and PvE players. It has reached levels that are just ridiculous. The reality is simple. Some people enjoy PvE, and some enjoy PvP, and we can't ignore either. The PvP community needs more diversity in play, additional maps for OPR, and no, it will not split the queues. That's a silly excuse. Have them rotate like mutations do. Yeah. They need more of a reason to play 3v3, like a real ranking system with rewards and titles associated. In a season format would probably work best. And
That's
they
smart.
need a reason to world PvP. Like, there has to be something added to the game that pushes people to flag besides luck. Because frankly, luck in this game is ridiculous to begin with. Like some sort of lucrative daily quest system with bounties on world PvP play.
This is what WoW has, and this is what they started doing in BFA with War Mode, is they would have like a weekly quest for people to go into War Mode and to go do PvP. And I think that worked pretty well for WoW. I don't know why New World doesn't do this.
Something that encourages it. Have hot zones that change in max level zones, where you're always flagged in that zone on X day or something. And while we're
I don't really think that having people be force flagged is a good idea. I think that the moment that you force somebody into PvP is the moment that that person stops enjoying the game. I don't think that an average player's experience is improved by that.
On the topic of PvP, we desperately need separate PvP and PvE balancing. The current system, where if you nerf something for PvP, it completely makes it unusable in PvE, just doesn't work, and vice versa.
Yeah,
and
this is the same WoW problem.
Why does gear roll with Resilience, Shirking Fort, and Ancient Ward? This doesn't make sense to me. The crafting is RNG enough. The PvP perk buckets need to be separate from the PvE. It doesn't make the gear harder and more fun to get. It makes people rage and quit is what it does.
Yeah, it definitely does. Because whenever you spend a long time trying to craft a piece of gear and then you just get the wrong stat and you know that like now you have to spend another 8 hours crafting, it sucks.
Now, I could go on forever about features we all want and wish for, but let's now step into the realm of reality for a moment and talk about things that need addressing immediately. Not new features or quality of life improvements, simply bugs, things that are broken and have been for some time and need addressed, and addressing them will go a long way in making people feel a lot more content while they're playing. For one, elite chests, why do they not give any arrows above iron? This has been like this since release and doesn't make any sense. And the alchemy stockpiles, not giving above regular motes. I mean, there's nothing in the game like killing a 67 gold elite to access a stockpile that gives 3 earth motes and 1 healing potion.
Ah, man. Yeah. That's, I mean, where's the lie?
This, of course, needs to change immediately. They need to fix broken tooltips on items. Like one that stands out for me, the Major Fishing Trophy has said 9,000 luck on it since release, when it provides, of course, 5,000 now, and it has for months since the trophies were changed. The encumbrance music buff, the patch notes stated it gives 200 to 1,000, but in the game, it gives 20 to 100. So which is it supposed to be? Is it broken, or were the patch notes wrong? This has never been directly addressed. And I won't even get into the Cutlass Keys Fort if you know what I'm talking about.
I think the big problem really is like dead servers. I think that if New World was able to combine all the servers, it would instantly make the game 10x better. The problem is like with World PvP, you don't have enough people that are going out there doing it because there's an incentive. But if you had enough people out in the world, you would be able to find those fights because there'd be so many people out there.
I could again go on and on. I'm sure every player has a list of persistent bugs. And in closing, I would just like to touch on some of the changes I would like to see.
I think one of the bugs is that, like, I'll get hit by mechanics and I won't be in the circle. Like, I'm sorry, but I think that the center of your player's character should be where the hitbox is. And if your character is out of the circle that says don't stand in the circle, you shouldn't hit it. Period. I also think that the attacks, the frontal attacks that bosses do that have a radius, like this is like, look, it's like you have, here's the boss, and here is the attack radius of the boss. And so this is smiley face, this is happy, this is sad. And the problem is that the animation is like this. So this is what we call in the Dark Souls community phantom range. It's like it doesn't show the attack being there, but it's there. It's fucking annoying. And there's no reason for this to happen. It adds no value to the game, and I think it just creates frustration whenever you have a bunch of attacks that push your character forward. It's like you have attacks with super finicky hitboxes, and at the same time, you also have phantom range on the attacks that the bosses do that are outside of the animations. It's desync. Yes, it's awful. That's a huge problem. Because somebody does that, and like they're out of a circle, but they still get hit by it, they're pissed.
In the way the developers handle and communicate with the community. And this is not meant to be negative. I have a great deal of respect for the devs.
I do too. I have a massive amount of respect for the New World developers. I'm a huge fan of the game. I completely support the game. But damn, there are some things that could do better. And you know what? Last year, there were a lot of things that could do better, and now there's less of them. They have made this game a lot better. So yes, I really hope this game continues to improve.
Dealing with a community that can be very toxic at times, as well as balancing that with your corporate overlords, is no small feat. And this to them is their job, not a game they love in a lot of cases like the players.
Hopefully they don't
so I recognize they're doing the best they know how.
I hope they don't.
But there are some areas
we're going to play
New
World
improve,
again soon.
At least from my perspective. For one, the PTR feedback. I know they say they read it, and maybe they do. However, I've taken part in every PTR we have ever had, and I have sifted through the PTR feedback and tested things all along the way, as I've reported in many of my videos. And almost every big issue we have experienced after a PTR cycle and the patch goes live has been reported on the PTR feedback. It isn't some new bug that cropped up in the live ecosystem we were not expecting. So going through this feedback actively, testing and fixing these issues before live will go a long way in rebuilding player faith. And
it's crazy how overpowered Trenchant Recovery is, isn't it? So basically, you guys might not know this, but like basically every time he does an attack, he heals for like 30 to 40% of the damage from his attack. It's fucking disgusting. Bro, I roll the Gypsum Orb. It was like my second one at 600. I hit a legendary fucking sword, and it had like Trenchant Recovery. It was like Keen, Vicious, or Enchanted. I forgot which one also. And it had like Corrupted Bane on it too. It was absolutely fucking disgusting. I still use it.
Another huge thing that would help would be to make the devlogs more of a hype machine. Keep it positive, show concept art, sneak peeks. We aren't asking you to promise things or even give a time frame, but talking about amazing features you have thought of and are working on would be great.
Awesome.
All it would take in reality to keep the community happy is clarity, honesty, and a little hope. Sharing bits with us about the future would give people the feeling that New World is here to stay, not dying. This whole narrative that's been created that the company is letting the game die is what's scaring off players. MMOs...
Yeah, I think that's true too. Is like, and also like you can see that with the servers. Like it's again the server situation. Because the truth is like, I remember whenever they did the Brimstone Sands update, and then they also did like that Return to Eternum event. Bro, that juiced the fuck out of the game. And not only did it juice the fuck out of the game, but the game kept the juice. People stayed with the game for like a month, 2 months, with like no extra new content. People, the sponsored event went away for one day. Nah, bro, look at the graph. Like, it completely fucking built up that game. Yeah, a whole month. Yeah, it was huge. Like a whole month for a game, an MMO that's been out for a year, it still has all these residual problems. It was massive, man. I love the new character during it. Yeah, so did I. And like people even played it after the sponsor fucking time was over. I wasn't the only one. I played the fuck out of this. It was really fun. The only reason I quit is because Dragonflight came out. And I think that's the big reason why New World isn't doing well. It's because Dragonflight just came out. It's because Wrath of the Lich King had Old War release. Final Fantasy just brought out a new Ultimate, and they've been pumping content. And Lost Ark just had Belshazzar, the most anticipated raid release. It's like New World exists in an ecosystem, and inside that ecosystem, it's just not... It's not W farming right now. And it's not their fault. It's just next time that content comes out, I really hope that they have a good promotional campaign for it. I'll play it regardless. I don't give a fuck if they pay me. Don't send them this, though. I will still fucking play it.
Require huge investments of people's time, and people simply don't want to invest that time in a game if the idea is that it'll be gone in a year. And for 100%. Adding a door, this made me laugh, because we know it's super hard to add a door. I mean, it sounds simple, but we have all noticed there are no doors in New World, only doorways.
So in the Tempest Keep expedition, after you kill the Spriggan, you go towards this door, and it's a double door area, and you click it and it opens the doors, and then to the right of it there's like a chest, and then there's a corruption brute. So that is a door.
I would also like to thank Black X.
That's a gate, not a door. Give me a minute. All right. Okay. Inside the starting quest, the revamped starting quest for Covenant, whenever you get the quest at the top of Windsward, at the bottom right of Everfall at the cathedral, you get a quest to kill cultists that have been corrupted by corruption. And I believe that in order to access that cultist area, you have to interface with a door. I'm not opening it. That's a boulder? Is it a boulder? Oh, fuck, it's a boulder. Okay. All right. I still think the Tempest Keep example is the best one I've got. Or not Tempest Keep, Tempest Heart.
For his post on the forums, where he has compiled a much
Okay.
larger list that would be impossible to put into a video. This thread helps shed light on a lot of what the community wants, and I want to make it clear to everyone, this video was long and may seem like I am hating, but I am not. I am simply trying to engage the community in conversation. Conversation that is positive and constructive. Yes, we all want the game to be better, but what does better look like truly? Let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
This is a nice video, especially from somebody who's like really even-handed, and also he's got a lot of experience with the game. That's really cool to see. Yeah, I'm glad to see this. I'm going to read a few of the videos. I mean, as a fan of New World ever since the first event, this is awesome. I'm very happy, and I hope they're able to continue making content and stuff for it, but we'll see if that ever happens. Okay, let's go back down, and we'll read a few of the comments here. Positive track. Good video, a lot of good ideas. Don't understand how anybody can interpret it as toxic or hateful. The trophy system stress has to happen. You're right, bro. They have to let us place all trophies instead of just 5. It's annoying, not enjoying. Where is the value add that a player gets out of rearranging trophies? I don't think it exists. Meaningful choice? Yes. People make the meaningful choice to play another game.